Buongiorno tutti. Hello everyone. Welcome to Maté Talk. Good to be before you all. Hope you have an awesome drink. Mine, of course, is my Maté. Normally I do testing. So normally right now I go, well, this is what I've been testing this week. It's been crazy. This week has been super intense. A million projects all happening. So I haven't had a chance to test. Having said that though, I'm covered in perfume. I smell divine. And the fragrance house that we're going to talk about is Bois 1920. Look at this thumbnail. I don't know if some of you have seen this video, but you need to see this intro. Check this out. The city of Florence has always been intertwined with powerful families, business, drama. I've got a story to tell you. Shortly after World War I in 1920, Guido Gallardi decided to establish a small boutique here in Florence. How spectacular is this production? I'm going to come back on this because I want to talk about the Bois 1920 fragrances that I have in front of me. This production was in our archives for 12 months, and I'll go into detail and also talk about how my stunning, my brilliant, my talented editor who brought all this to life, but more on that in just a second. But first, boom, let's commence announcements. So this, not this Saturday, the following Saturday on the 9th, we're doing a meetup at OLIGARCH. This is an awesome opportunity for me to actually meet you guys in person if you're able to make it. Now I realize that for Melbourneites it's somewhat easy, just it's up the road. If you are interstate, I don't know if this is a possibility, but if you are interstate and you can fly down, I would love to meet you guys in person. The time is from 12 till 2. We're asking everybody to bring a favorite perfume or a French perfume that they love. And it doesn't have to be from OLIGARCH, it can be from anywhere else. And the chance is really to test new things. I'm all about finding new stuff. And also it's exciting when people get super pumped about a fragrance that they've discovered and have the ability to share with others. So we've done these sort of meetups before where people bring a fragrance. It's a lot of fun. If you're able to make it, I'd love to see you guys there. Now, for those who, I'm going to say most people are somewhat aware that Kevin and I are doing a fragrance tours. We're doing these fragrance tours. We've announced, actually, this is the video. Please check it out. This will give you the full sort of rationale as to what it's all about and why are we doing this. Now, for the France fragrance tour that is scheduled for September, we did announce that we were collaborating or doing some work with Pierre Guillaume. We were going to his hometown of Clermont-Ferrand. Turns out that there's been a clash of scheduling. We were trying to work through it, but in the end, he wasn't able to essentially. So we've had to sort of pivot and shift. Instead, we have brought forward plans that we had or we have in play for 2026. Now to give you an idea, we've already announced 2 tours for 2025, one for Italy and one for Dubai. But believe it or not, we were already in conversation for 2026. And I'm happy to say that we've brought that forward, that brand forward. It is none other than the glorious Paris Monte Carlo. The plans are we will go to Monte Carlo. We're staying in Monaco. Have a look at this hotel. So this is the Hotel Hermitage. I was practicing before. Hotel Hermitage. I'm saying it wrong, I know it. But anyway, you get the gist. This is one of the classic, I think it was built in the 1890 or something like that. If you look at the film, actually, if you look at the movie To Catch a Thief by Alfred Hitchcock with Grace Kelly and Cary Grant, this hotel is seen in the background. You can see the facade of this hotel. So we will be staying there. We will be enjoying Monaco for 3 days, and we will be partnering, or we are partnering alongside Paris Monte Carlo. Super excited. This is a brand that I absolutely love. And as I said, it's something that we were planning for 2026, which we're now bringing forward to this tour now. This tour will now consist of Paris, Monte Carlo, and then we're off the grass. So it's going to be a nice sort of city beach and then over to the countryside. Allora, all right, last announcement is this Sunday, the new XERJOFF lineup video is going out. If you are interested in buying a XERJOFF, just hang tight until Sunday because there's a promo connected to any purchases that you do off the Libertine website. If you use the code NFC XERJOFF, you'll have an opportunity to go into the draw to win a 100ml bottle of Herba Gold. If you haven't smelled this fragrance, it is off the hook amazing. I actually will be talking about it. It's part of the lineup that I'm doing. Obviously, this is for Aussies. The promo will only run for 2 weeks. So it starts on the 10th, finishes on the 24th. And then on the Maté Talk, I will announce the winner. I'll do it in my classic wheel function. So if you want to buy a XERJOFF, all you got to do, if you're interested in buying a XERJOFF, jump on the Libertine website. As of Sunday, use that code and you'll be able to go into the draw to win a full bottle, which is pretty exciting. Boom, bada boom. That's it. Announcements done. Boop. All right, now, I'm going to slow down. All right, so I feel like I'm chasing by zombies, but a little bit of a mate, excuse me. 12 months ago, I was in Milan, I was in Italy and went to Milan, to Aix-en, blah, blah, blah. But I was in Florence and had a chance to film alongside Simone from Bois 1920. We did these productions here. On one of the days, Simone says, you know what? We should run around the city. We should run around Florence and do some stuff. Both Sandra and I, my wing person, we thought, yeah, that sounds like an awesome idea. Let's do that. Now, we got, after Aix-en's finished, came back home, a million things started. The tour that we did in September last year started to take off, and then Cannes, and then the channels moved, and then I just ran out of time. Now, the whole time, have a look at this photo. This is the beautiful Bois 1920 people. I met them in Cannes, and very quietly, this is Lorenzo, and he's in charge of all things social media, and very quietly he said, and the video? As in the production that we did running around Florence. And I'm like, Lorenzo, I'm so sorry. I promise it will be done. At that stage, it was October, I think, early October. I said, by the end of this month, it's done. He sends me another quiet message in November, early December. He's, the video? Is that still happening? I'm like, Lorenzo, I'm so sorry. I promise end of this month, as in end of December, it's gonna be done. Long story short, bing bada boop. It took 12 months to get this video. I'm grateful that I didn't get a mafia hit on me, that my kneecaps weren't sort of knocked off. I promised all along that yes, this production was going to happen. You know what it was? Just to create something, I just didn't want to do that. Just to go running around the city. And so it was about trying to find, what is this piece actually saying? How can we bring it to life in a beautiful and unique way? I'm so fortunate that I have a very talented editor, Grace. This is Grace here. We did a Baby What's Your Name with both Grace and Hannah. Now, Grace brought this thing to life. I mean, in collaboration, we were sort of bouncing off ideas, but she grabbed hold of this concept with all these different images. And then the drama of the story as it begins to unfold about, the Bois 1920 history and all the rest of it. Visually, it's a stunning production. However, and this is the part, so tear emoji please, cue tear emoji. It just hasn't had the views that I'm hoping that it would have had. We tried everything in the lead up to it. We did a bit of a soft release. We pushed it via Instagram to draw some attention to it. Those who have seen this production fall in love with the camera work. That's Sandra, by the way. Sandra behind the camera, she did an exceptional job. The movement, the way the camera moves in that sort of 3D space around us. The two gentlemen, Simone and Lorenzo, were awesome as hosts as they took me around the city. And then, as I said, Grace, the way she added that finesse to the editing. The whole production is just gorgeous. However, views, baby. Last week I had a gentleman who wrote in and said I talk too much about XERJOFF. This is the unfortunate reality. The moment I put XERJOFF, the video flies. And I think I showed you this last week. These are my top 10 in the last 28 days. This is consistent. That number one, I filmed that about a year and a half ago, and it's still tracking at number one. So the moment I use Bois 1920 or Pierre Guillaume or Paris Monte Carlo, those videos don't track as well. So anyway, it's always a balance between creating content that is going to draw someone's eye, but also creating content on perfume brands that are just divine and exceptional. And in this case here with the Bois 1920, this is a beautiful exploration of the city. I'm gonna ask you guys a favor. I would love, if you haven't watched this video, I'm gonna put a link below. I'd love you to watch it. Put a comment, please give it a thumbs up, even a thumbs down. Actually, I prefer they didn't give it a thumbs down. But yeah, just sort of some sort of engagement there. I'd love you to share it. I'd love you to share it to one friend. Just get this video out because it's such an awesome production. It really is. I mean, I know that it's obviously, I mean, I'm totally biased. It's a production that we created, but it's still objectively an awesome production that I'd love to push out to more people. There it is. I'm not going to say any more. Now, I invite you to do as you will. Just do it. Now, it would be awesome to see this production fly and take off. Now, what I want to do today, I've got on me, as I said, a range of fragrances, and I thought in honor to the beautiful people of Bois 1920 that was so patient with me, 12 months for me to bring this production to life, I've got 6 fragrances. I've got 6 fragrances here that I'd love to talk about, that if you're new to Bois 1920, you can start anywhere in this, along these 6, and you'll find that it has the pure magic component to it. Number 1, everybody talks about this one, is Dolce di Giorno. Now, this one here, the name tricks you a little bit because the name is the sweet of the morning, or the dolce is like a dessert or sweetness. The sweetness in the morning is the direct translation to this fragrance. It does have a bit of a sweet opening. It has like a bergamot and some other citruses in there. But for me, it has this like a bit of sweet component. What did I write here? Yeah, okay, there we go. It has a spiciness to it. So on opening, it does have a cinnamon and cardamom. And so it has this grapefruit cinnamon cardamom explosion. So there is a sweetness in there, but there's also this slight bitter spiciness to the actual fragrance. When it dries down, it has things like vetiver, patchouli, labdanum, some really heavy notes. I think benzoin might be in there, musk is in there. So it has this really heaviness, but it's not a heavy fragrance. And the interesting thing about it is that it does have an earthy component. I feel like this is a little bit more masculine leaning. It does have an earthy component, but there's a plum note that surprises you probably 30 to 40 minutes into the dry down. The opening is divine, super alluring, instant love. As it begins to dry down, you're like, not so sure. I'm waiting for patchoulis or vetivers to sort of edge forward. They don't. If anything, I get like a waxy component to it, like a waxy scent. Then all of a sudden, the sweetness begins to, and you're like, where is that coming from? And then the plum emerges. I've got it. I'm wearing it today. Ooh, I just hit my mic. This is magic, honestly, guys. So if you love a plum note, I know that BDK uses a lot of plum notes in their fragrance. Dolce di Giorno is spectacular in that regard. It also celebrates that plum, that dark fruit, juicy sweetness of it, in amongst all those earthy, woody-like components. Big recommendation. If you're new to Bois 1920, great place to start. Something a little bit more sort of sweeter and feminine leaning, even though personally this is a fragrance that I love to wear, which is Classic Paradise. I discovered this when I was in the Bois 1920. I wore it in all amongst Florence. So for me, this is so connected. My olfactory is connected to this fragrance, to the beautiful city of Florence, and and walking and being in that place. I recently did a Baby, What's Your Name alongside Maddie, who's my daughter. And this is the one, when I sprayed it, she's like, what is that? So it has that, baby, what's your name? Kind of feeling to it. I am wearing it right now. It's spectacular, guys. So this is a little bit, so now for guys who don't really like overt fruit, it's not over the top, okay? So I will talk about one that's over the top, fruity. But this one here is subtle. It has a peach coconut vibe to it. When it dries down, it goes into like a sandalwood, musky place. Think herba pura in the sense that it has those kind of components, but really bring back the musk and really bring back the fruit. The blend here, when it comes to the subtlety of the fragrance, when it comes to the subtlety of those fruit and slight florals, is absolute magic. This is like being, I mean, all the imagery linked to this fragrance is being on a tropical island and things of that nature. But sometimes when you think tropical island, you think suntan lotion, so that coconut overtakes the fragrance. Not here. That peach component, the vanilla, the musk, and sandalwood, pure magic. Pure magic. This is glorious. Classic Paradise, massive recommendation, very unique. Now, staying within that island kind of vibe, the next one I would recommend to you is OLTRAMARE. This is a new one. This is one that when I first came into the house that I absolutely fell in love with. If you like aquatic or marine, actually, let me start that again. If you like marine, because aquatic sometimes gives you that more algae, more deep ocean sort of aspect to it, whereas marine is more sea breeze, sea air, the being on a yacht, sea spray, all that sort of stuff. This is what OLTRAMARE is all about. Actually, OLTRAMARE means to going overseas or traveling. It is a fragrance that transports you to another place, essentially. I was wearing earlier here. Okay, on the dry down, it's just like a sweetheart fragrance. On the opening, it has this unusual, to my nose, it has this unusual cannabis style green bitterness to it. Now there's no cannabis in this. There is a cannabis saltata, I think that's how you pronounce it. Here it is here. That one is also a marine style fragrance, but with a very distinct green cannabis note. When this one opens up, it does have this, and I think it's herbal. I mean, it's not listed that I can see, but to me, it has this almost thyme, sort of sage herbal component to it. When I spray this and I experience this, the early part of the fragrance is like standing on a cliff, seeing the ocean. There's an area here called the Great Ocean Road, and it's about seeing the expanse of the ocean and being in amongst greenery also, herbs or something of that nature, feeling the sea spray, the saltiness of the air. This is what this fragrance is all about. As it dries down, it goes into these beautiful salty florals that begin to emerge. As a summertime fragrance, gorgeous, absolute pure magic. There are two others in the marine style sort of fragrances. For me, to my nose, OLTRAMARE is the first place you should begin. I find that this one here is exceptional. Big recommendation. Boom. All right, let me move on. Let me move to this one here. A lot of people know about this fragrance. This is called DURROCAFFE. Now, DURROCAFFE is a huge hit within my office. So currently, I asked my editor, Grace, she actually has this on loan. I asked her, can you bring it in just so I can experience it again, so I can talk about it. So this one here is a huge favorite amongst the crew within the office. This is perfect as a winter fragrance, in my opinion. The opening of it is just a divine, milky coffee brown sugar. And I'm telling you, the moment you spray, it's milky coffee brown sugar. It is so, it's almost to the point where you literally want to go, you know what, I'm gonna go get a coffee. I need to have a coffee, I can smell it in the air. It has this Moorish component to it. As it dries down, there is a bitterness that begins to emerge. Sometimes coffee can have a bitter sort of a profile, scent profile to it. It goes into this bitter place, and then finally it settles into this coffee, patchouli, amber place. Always remains glorious, but that opening, almost gourmand, like you can almost taste it to the point you almost feel like you want to spray it and taste it for real. Don't do it. Not that I've tried it, but I'm going to say that's going to just be like, wow. But on the dry down, that coffee is there. It is, as I said, a lot more bitter in its scent profile. Patchouli is present, and then that amberiness is just absolutely divine. As a summer fragrance, I mean, it's very hot today. For me, I would prefer the classic Paradise as a fragrance for today, or the Dolce di Giorno that I'm wearing. This is a little bit heavy for the summer as a winter fragrance or a cool evening. DURROCAFFE, bada bing, amazing. Next in, this is the Prestige collection. One thing I love about these guys is that all bottles are unique and different. They're actually hand painted. So this is not just a standard bottle. These are all hand touched essentially. So every bottle is quite unique. The next one is called Sacro e Profano. Hang on. Profano. Sacro e Profano. Sacro e Profano. There we go. Sacred and profane, essentially. And it's about that duality between something that is, I guess, slightly profane, which is the oud note, can be very poopy-like, very animalic, and then the sacredness of the floral or the rose. This is a classic oud rose fragrance, but with a complete difference. If you are new to oud, start here. This is, I would say that you would, by starting here and appreciating this fragrance, you would graduate very quickly, because on opening, even though the notes say the opening has an orange, and there was orange, what was the other note? Actually, I wrote it down, give me a second. Pink pepper. So orange, pink pepper, which sometimes pink pepper has a berry-like component to it. Then it goes to a saffron rose, and then oud. Okay, according to the notes, that's how it evolves. But according to the experience, it's oud coming through with a very poopy, animalic component to it. It's actually, yet when I remember first experiencing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just an oud fragrance. I'm not getting anything else coming through. However, you wait, I don't know, say about 30 minutes to an hour, which is where I am now. And this is sublime. The orange is definitely present. So you're getting a slight citrusly orange texture to the fragrance. The rose is very subtle, so it's not a classic rose oud like you would know it. The floral is there, but I think it's also that saffron that's creating a different element, because there is a slight spicy but suede-like quality to it, and then that oud has really backed off and settled down. It's still present, you're still detecting the oud note, but now all these other notes have now sort of taken, have sort of come forward. The composition comes a lot more rounded, whereas on the opening, it's just this like poopy oud that sort of emerges and comes through. All year round fragrance. So some of these are more masculine, feminine leaning. For me, Sacro e Profano. Sacro e Profano is comfortably masculine, feminine. That rose is not very, it's not very pronounced. So a man, if you're not comfortable with florals, you can comfortably wear this. And for a woman, the oud animalic component, as I mentioned, really comes back. Beautifully composition, wonderfully blended. Big recommendation if you're new to oud. Last fragrance. Okay, here we go. A big hitter. Oh my gosh. This is a monster. So if you want beast mode in your fragrance, then my recommendation is FRAMMENTI. I mentioned before, bottles are hand painted, etc., etc. Same here. The difference here is that these are different colored different colored gold flakes. There are more rose tinged one, there is the classic gold tinged, and each one of these, and actually when I met with the guys, they showed me the actual flakes, and they showed me the process of what a local artisan who's not far from Florence actually does to create these bottles. All of these bottles are hand touched. They're all created locally within Florence. The same for these ones here, just to give you a heads up. It's not mass produced overseas in certain countries. It's actually all created locally in Italy. Now, FRAMMENTI. When I first discovered it in Florence 12 months ago, I was wearing it. If you watch that video, you see me spraying it. I loved wearing this particular fragrance while I was all around Italy. Since coming back, Sandra has taken over this fragrance. My daughter Madison has taken over this fragrance. My two editors, young ladies, have taken over this fragrance. I don't wear this fragrance anymore. For me, the moment I smell it, and I haven't sprayed it, but the moment I smell it, it just screams femininity. This is like a femme fatale fragrance. So if you want, I know men like boss sort of fragrances, they want big beast mode. Well, if you're a woman who wants to be, you know, like those ads where they're like, whoa, they're all turning their heads and this, you can see this trail of perfume following an individual, FRAMMENTI is the one for you. A man can still wear it. Like I said, I was wearing it in Florence, but since coming home, as I mentioned, and every woman I know is wearing, actually the other day, a young lady, friend of the family, probably 20 years old, I said hi to her, again, Latinos, we give a hug, and I'm like, whoa, are you wearing FRAMMENTI? She goes, yeah, I went to visit Kevin. So she had been to Oligarch, and FRAMMENTI was the one that she actually purchased for herself. So girl boss, FRAMMENTI is the one. For me, I find that it has a beautiful black currant fruity opening. It does have these glorious florals that are in there. It does dry down to this caramel, vanilla, amber, musky place. It's potent. It is an absolute powerhouse fragrance. It will go through walls. I recommend you minimize your sprays. This is a maybe just a two spray fragrance. That'll take you 24 hours. This will linger forever on your skin and will just scent the whole, no matter where you are, this will just project through everywhere. Boom, that's me. I did that in record time, do you think? I think I did. And I did it on purpose because I didn't want this one, last week's one went for 50 minutes, goodness me. But that was my 100th. I had to do that, come on. Whereas this week I really wanted to bring it home quickly. Thank you, everyone. I greatly appreciate all your comments. Please write down your thoughts on any of these. Actually, one last one. One in that video that we talked a lot about was the Profumo di Firenze fragrances. This is a celebration of all things Dante. Another big hitter within the office here. So this one here, Grace also was borrowing, and I asked her just to bring it in. She has smashed this fragrance. Good for her, absolutely loves it. This is 25 Marzo, so another big hitter with it. You'll find, honestly, Bois 1920, Profumo di Firenze, and then the olfatology fragrances are all exceptional. Massive recommendation. Go check them out. Once again, I'd love you to push that video out. If you watched it and you enjoyed it, I'd love you to share it so that we can let other people know of this great. I'm promoting myself shamelessly, but thank you. All right, guys, we'll see you guys all in the next video. That was crazy finish. Boop.